Okay, plan number one is to, let's say, finish this guy up to the level of something that is more like rendering, not sketch. It's plan number one. Plan number two, I have prepared these mood boards here. So we could try to apply, we could try to create one concept for color and trim material for newly created rendering. And also there is also an idea of making a quick sketch of the seat here. So I could explain briefly the principles of sketching of the seat for the interior. So, guys, what do you say? Sounds good as a plan?
Sounds good.
Sounds good, yeah.
Sounds great.
Mm-hmm. Hi, everyone, by the way. All right, in this case, let's continue. Let's proceed with the sketch. All right, here I prepared two mood boards. Let's say, since we're working on the sketch for that we did during the first lesson session, it's, let's say, the vision of the new Fiat 500 electric. I decided to prepare also some two mood boards that where we could take an inspiration from in regards to both style and design for the product, for the future product. And also partly we could take an inspiration for hypothetical concept of color and trim layout of this material. So I prepared a couple of mood boards. One is, let's say, 1960s, which is featuring famous objects of Italian design. This mood board is divided in two parts. One is the colorful one, and another one that is completely black and white. Since during the 60s, there has been many iconic design produced, which were both featuring funky, beautiful colors, peace, hippie, psychedelics as well, and also rounded shapes, and at the same time, high-level contrast of colors between black and white or gray, or, for example, black and some colorful full-body colors in the same time. And going through the trends of 2020, I decided also to go through modern-day products, and I found out that most of them, design language-wise, they're also very, very simple. As you can see, speaking in terms of lines and proportions, within 60 years, they are quite somewhat they could be identical. Not identical, but similar. The only difference in comparing to the past is the higher level of execution and treatment. Like here, for example, you can see these new headphones from Apple with super precious negative treatment insert, super precious details here. And but overall, the volumetry is quite positive surfaces, positive, pleasant, soft touch materials. Yeah. So basically, these are two mood boards for hypothetical color and trim proposal. For now, I would like to start first of all with the sketch of the design seat. I already started sketching something. It's just a rough base. Basically, it's not difficult to draw the seat. Important thing is the section Y0. It just has to repeat the basic lines of the human body. You can do it either like this, or you could also do it somewhat like that, just simple negative line here. The important thing is that it always ends with positive treatment on the way back. What I wanted to say is that it's better to avoid this kind of sections, the seat and for the headrest, due to this kind of spiky vertices, which will make the seating experience rather uncomfortable. As well as it's better to avoid this kind of lines, even though sometimes we might have temptation to end the seat like this. It's better not to do that, because in the lower part here, it's not going to be really comfortable to feel the theoretic lines. So at the level of volumes, Y0, I recommend you to use mostly negative section, but with very, very positive treatment when the section starts to go back. Also, one thing to consider is that the upper part of the seat is normally slightly bigger, slightly longer in comparison to the lower seat part where the person is supposed to sit. So, roughly speaking, the ratio would be between 1.5 to 1.0, more or less. You can see. One more thing to mention about the seat is that it's usually composed of several parts, the soft part and the hard part. Usually the hard part is located underneath, and it keeps the seat together, as the seat is normally made of foam, and it requires hard part to be there, just to keep all the stuff together. Because the seat is usually attached to the structure, to the very, very rigid structure within, which is like a skeleton. And the foam of the seat makes our experience more comfortable while sitting on this metallic frame. And let's say it's held inside, but without the rigid part, the foam, since it's soft, it will be totally out of control. It will be just spreading like clothes. That's the reason why we have this hard plastic underneath. Or maybe we could consider other materials. That's the reason why we are having this rigid part underneath. Can you guys hear me well? Do you guys have any questions in regards to the seat so far? Oh, I forgot to add a couple of words about bolsters. Yeah. Normally, the bolsters are more well pronounced within the sports cars, supercars, and SUV cars. The reason why they are well pronounced is because they must keep the driver at its place. Well, supercar, it's pretty obvious, because when the car goes into the turn on the high speed, the driver has a risk of being thrown out of the seat. So that's why the bolsters there must really keep him well, and they are really well pronounced. And sometimes within the supercar seat, the one might have the bolster for the shoulders and the bolster as well as bolster for the waist area. And the seat itself could be rigid also, could have also rigid cover from behind. And the structure overall is much more rigid in comparison to normal cars. This would be an example of the sporty seat. Sometimes the one might also have the holes for the belts coming from here, or from the area right above the shoulder. And there might be also something in between, I don't know if it is called bolster, but there could be another support, which would go like this, up and down in the middle between the legs. So the person would feel more like in anatomically correct position, like in the cocoon. perfectly embraced by the seat. Similar rules apply also to the SUV seats, but however, they don't require normally the side bolster for the shoulder as well. They're just a little bit bigger and more comfortable, so that the one could go easier to the off-road and be not afraid of the shaky, bumpy roads. Okay, let's create another layer that we could use on top of this one. The SUV seats are usually a bit more massive in comparison to hatchbacks or in comparison to supercar seats. The reason why it's just for the sake of better comfort. They could have even more positive treatment of the Y0 section, because the material usually is really, really soft. So it would embrace the body a bit better. It will provide more comfort to the driver. Then the waist bolster here. Then the waist bolster there. Let's move away now. And the position of this seat is usually much higher in comparison to the seat of hatchback, let's say, of the hatchback or of the supercar. That's why the plastic part of the SUV seats is usually quite chunky, quite big. You have to take it into account if you are working on the SUV project for the seat. And it's quite a challenge to make the SUV seat lighter in terms of shape. All right, let's say this is the SUV. This kind of sports carriage seat. Usually sports carriage seats are somehow more anatomic. They are more sensual in lines. Because they basically repeat the shape of human body. Also one more support for the shoulder here. The main task when you are drawing the seat is try to make it a bit thinner, a bit more elegant. A bit lighter, not chunky. Usually the bolsters have at least 2 Eric lines to create this kind of section. It goes like this. And the section goes like this, just repeating the shape of the human body. Check again. Okay, now with first view, I can see that we can clearly emphasize the size, the dimensions of this bolster here. Let's make it a bit more well pronounced. Yeah, like this. Yeah, somehow like that is better. Anyway, this is the supercar seat or sports car seat. Here, usually we are supposed to draw middle between the legs. There could be an area where you could attach your seat belt. Normally there is a hole here with the metallic frame. It slightly lifts up for maybe 10 to 15 millimeters from the main surface. See? Then it goes back to normal section. Also, the sports car seats are usually much deeper compared to normal seats, thanks to the bolsters and also thanks to the more anatomical Y0 section. Okay. Then we have this kind of SUV, like archetype of the seat. Okay, here the bolster must be somewhat more pronounced. This side, just a bit chunkier, a bit bigger, heavier seat, mostly because of the plastic base underneath, which is quite high. Section goes more or less like this. Sometimes you might also have extra division here so that you could extend it. Mostly luxury and premium cars have this extra division here, so you could extend your seat somewhat into something like a chaise longue. so the position will be a bit more comfortable. Sports car and SUV. And now we're going to make a quick seat for this hatchback here for Fiat F500 or for Fiat 500. Definitely it's going to be something a bit more funky, a bit lighter, a bit more fun. So these images are going to help us about it as well. All right, let's make something. Since the main lemma of our Fiat 500 is ellipse, we could easily start designing the seat with the shape of an ellipse, one, and another ellipse here. And then, in the process of drawing, you might transform it into something else. So let's say here we have a cushion part with two well-pronounced bolsters here, 1 and 2, both elliptic. And then here we have a curved backrest. With another elliptical bolsters here and here. That could be just coming from the general volume. This one, and let's rotate the seat. And that's the section. And this one could be our headrest. Okay, this is just the first rough take. Go to second take, which will be a little bit more refined. Sometimes it's okay to go back to inspiration, to have a look. It could be done. I really like that headphones negative treatment. I think it carries out some interesting opportunity for the headrest. About this area here. So we could conduct some experiment here and make it a bit different. Okay, here right now we could even try to make it a bit more negative. Okay, here this volume will come out more or less like this. Here we get this kind of shape here. And then here we could get the side graphics. Let's see. So here, as a consequence, we have this kind of section, which is quite deep for average hatchback, but it's okay. We're just researching style for now. Let's transform it. Okay, this one we should make it a bit more seamless. Let's move it here. And let's make the design of the seating part. Mark here the axis of rotation. We also bring sometimes the matching graphics between different components. For example, we could hypothesize that here there will be some kind of tweeters in the headrests. Which will be resembling the look of this regulate rotation axis in the lower part. And let's make this cushion right now. Here we could add some graphics. This new seat. We could add some line here that would mean the division of materials. Okay, we could continue researching different styles for the seat, but I don't think we have a lot of time for it. So guys, which seat do you prefer? The left one or right one?
For me, the one with the round headrest.
This one or this one?
The left one.
Yeah,
Left.
I'm in the left. I'm in the left side too.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right, let's work on this one in this case. Try to make it more simple. All right, here the line works a little bit. It's a bit tricky area because all the surface is positive and we have to project on it the ellipse and make sure that perspective lines would match somehow. Anyway, we can control it. Okay, let's do this one for now. Rounded rectangular. All right, let's switch off the lines. Okay, we see that we need to control the lines a bit more. I just for such kind of shapes, I suggest utilizing more the rounded rectangle tool rather than ellipse, because rounded rectangle tool is more universal. You could create a sphere, and out of it you can make anything.
Hey Roman, it's RJ. I just want to let you know I got to jump off here. But I want to just say thank you for going ahead and creating this extra demo for us. I think I can speak on behalf of everyone of how appreciative we are of that. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, RJ. In this case, see you later.
Yeah, of course. Same for you. Good luck on everything, and we'll chat soon. All right, take it easy.
All right, here we can see that it's becoming kind of bulkier. Let's just control the lines in a bit different way. If we incline it becomes banana. Let's just have a bit more geometrical, little bit more controlled shape somehow. In any case, important thing is that the lower base does not affect the legs. And also let's mark our Y0 section. Then here one more. Speaking about the section for the headrest, there are not so many restrictions on how should it be. Just important thing, it does not have theoric lines. It could be either positive or as well as it could be negative. Important thing is that your hand does not touch this kind of spiky area. So it could be both, either negative or positive. It could be positive because there is an area of the skull. Let's say here we have a skull. There's an area of the neck which could rely on the positive area. But in case if you want to do the headrest, which is negative, in this case you must make it higher in order to make the other parts of the head, upper part of the head, be leaning on the headrest. Apparently, we're doing the first case scenario, or let's say more universal one, where both upper part or lower part could be leaning on the headrest. Now let's just make some area for light and shadow. All right, let's start applying some colors in practice. First of all, people lights. Okay, now we're just basically recreating these lines. Creating these lines. Okay, so right now let's start color blocking. Before that, let's just add a couple of more lines. Usually in the seat design, where there is such area, where there's a border between the front, let's say front, and the side or back, there must be always division line. It can never be one single piece. And there will always be some kind of division line in between. Let's make it thinner. That's fine. So make sure that it enters the center of the ellipse here. And select inverse. Boom. Here we go. There we have division line. Let's erase this part here, which is not necessary. Okay, and here we go again with color blocking. Add to selection. This one, subtract from selection. Now we just try to apply some color blocking in order to check how the graphics of the seat will look like. Okay, let's try this one. This way. Okay, that will be interesting. It's just a blocking. It doesn't have to stay black like this. It could be also some other color. Now let's start applying some tone for the main elements of the seat. Let's give this color. It's nice. Okay, let's reduce opacity of lines. All right, we could keep it normal color with no transparency, but we'll just make it slightly lighter, not completely black. Let's start adding some tone, the shadows. Okay, it's pretty much a chromatic color. Since it's a chromatic color, we could also easily use black color for the shadows. Let's just make thing this. Yeah, it's fine. All right, let's go to the bolsters now. Let's start underlying this volume. This area here. We'll make it slightly flat. All right, here we are going to show some kind of negative volume, just to show that the surface is going inside, kind of inside out approach. Okay, and then here we subtract this, and then we add this one, and then we subtract this one again. Subtract. Okay. Now let's only select this area. No. This way. Make selection. Subtract. Subtract again. And subtract here too. And just ask here to create a drop shadow from here. And then now we select this area again. Add to selection. And drop shadow one more time in this area. All right, and then headrest. Now let's just reduce it from this side. Add more here. Now let's track again this shadow here. Not too much. Work. And we can do one more thing, which is just with the razor slightly to show that this shape is turning. got shadows, not completely yet. Let's add more shadow here in this area. Subtract. Subtract. Let's increase the flow. I feel like we could add one more element here, just to make it look a bit more unified, somewhat. It could be this one, like an arc in between. Okay, let's apply some quick light here. Overlay mode, I prefer using for light, and then start applying directly with white color. White can be quite strong, so you gotta be careful while using it. But it's a great tool. It's rather efficient. Guys, do you have any questions for now while this process?
Not really. I think it's just good to see it. And I think a lot of it is that your brush strokes are very confident, and so it looks very clean. And when I do it, it's always muddy and a little bit messy.
Thank you, Dominic. Actually, it's not really my brush strokes. It's more about paths that I use.
Maybe.
So maybe you could try to apply this approach as well.
I have to. It's just my problem with this is that because I often have to correct my perspective drawing as I kind of render it already, and so it's a lot of mess with the paths, and I always end up just not using them and just correcting it with just brush strokes. But I have to, otherwise it will always be a bit messy.
Right, I understand you. I've been also there. And yeah, perspective must be always corrected. It's true. All right, now let's say we have this kind of more or less readable volume, which is okay, and we have a kind of base for further, more detailed work, such as colors or materials. Let's try to find some nice texture for the seat, so we could emulate well the material of the fabric. While here we create a highlight. There's also another thing that I think we could try to change here. Should consider at least trying, which is erasing this black part here, because we have here this black and white part, black outside and white inside part. So why don't we apply something like this here? Interesting. Well, just apply a little bit of shadow to show the volumetry. Volume. Now a little bit of highlight. Okay, another layer in overlay mode. So we could even more emphasize the highlights on top of our previous layers. We could emphasize both shadows and light simultaneously. To selection, yeah. See, it gives a lot more contrast than before. this one subtract. Let's show another little shadow here. And now we can simply regulate the light and shadow, because it was a lot of contrast before. Now let's give some contrast to the headrest as well. We then pass again with black, slightly, not too much. So that's basically the technique of making the quick sketch of the seat, of an idea. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to try to apply one of these concepts, the colors, to the seat. So which one would you like to choose, guys? 60s or 20s?
I think we can go with 60s.
Okay. Anybody else? Which colors do you like more? 60s or 20s?
I think it's just me and James.
Oh, okay. All right, let's go with the 60s then. Okay, let's apply concept from 60s in this case. I would say we can go for a colorful concept. Now let's think about what can be done with orange color. Yeah, maybe orange and beige somewhat, as these materials are really running well together. Just choose one here and another one here. So we can create here a couple of palettes and start thinking of and start applying these colors. In order to do that, I will show you one function which is really handy for such tasks. Subtract. Subtract as well. All right, let's try to set this one as a beige color, the seating part and this internal color of the backrest. What we're going to do is this. We'll apply saturation, hue and saturation modifier, which you can find here nearby in the layers box. Just press here and choose hue saturation. After that, you will have to apply the mask. Since we already have the paths here, we can just apply what we have. Then press colorize. Okay, here it's coming something pretty much similar to our color. Can do it just that, maybe add less saturation, or more, depending on your case. Okay, and then after that, let's make the rest of the seat orange, except for the inserts. Okay, here we make this selection and subtract other parts. Subtract again. Okay. Same operation, hue and saturation, colorize, and choose orange. Now let's try making these bolsters orange, because we can see that it's a bit too much black. So let's take another one, hue and saturation, colorize, make it orange. All right, and these black bolsters and parts, we could also color somewhat different. Okay. No. Here, under the mask, colorize and start searching where we would like to go. I think this could be pretty much retro color. At the same time, it's getting a little bit over the top. So I guess we could do something with these white pieces that are remaining, and we could recolor them into something else. This area and this area could be orange, for example. No, multiply doesn't work. Now let's try to apply this kind of concept as well for our interior. Can you guys see the sketch?
Yeah.
This is the idea from the 60s. We could work on it also a bit more. For example, we could think about different color for these inserts, such as, shall we say, this one. Yeah, I think this one works better. Let's also think about some nice material which we could apply here, such as, let's say, the fabric. No, overlay doesn't work. Multiply looks a little bit dirty. So there's another way, which is just going underneath all other layers, except the lines. There we go. There we go again here. Delete the layer mask. Then we have another layer of fabric. And then here we transform it this way. Delete the mask. And let's make it slightly smaller. And go up. Okay, let's do like this. Let's make. Yeah, we could make actually overlay. It's all right. Yes, let's make it slightly darker. Okay, something like that. We don't even need to apply the mask here because it's an overlay mode, and overlay mode does not react with white color around. So why don't we do something similar here in this case? Okay, let's say usually the renders are normally done in a black and white, in a darker background. So that's why I created this kind of black ambient here. So yeah, let's place the mood board somewhere here. 2020. Bye-bye. All right, let's think what could be down here. I think we could convert darker areas into this kind of bluish greenish color as well. So let's go for it. Now, let's increase the flow. Okay, here we add to selection. Another subtract here. All right, we're good to go. Let's just go here. Okay, now it looks really light. Let's just do one more thing. Just make it darker. It's somewhat similar to this color. No, I don't think it's good here. I think I'm going to try orange. All right, let's leave it like this. All right, speaking of materials, let's apply some fabric here as well. Okay, remove the mask. Okay, since it's overlay, we cannot see that much of darker stone. Let's try to make it a bit more pronounced. Or let's switch it to multiply. Too dirty. Okay, this is better somehow, but still far from. No, it's too dark. Let's make overlay. And let's adjust the levels. Alright, now let's apply here the mask. Boom, subtract. Subtract again. And there we go. Okay, here applies the same approach. And here as well. Yeah, let's emphasize a little bit these darker tones. Так. Okay. Yes. Okay, now I'm just going to try to burn the darker areas. Basically, I use burn tool. You have to select this one and then choose shadows. And you will burn the darkest tones of your texture. Or if you want to be more careful, you could burn the middle tones, the tones in between, which would give more controllable result. All right, here we adjust the texture here like this, and like this. So guys, what do you think of it so far? Can you see well?
It's looking good. Yeah, I can see well.
Mm-hmm.
I like the green, like the connection, the combination here of the green and the orange or brown or beige.
Oh, it's coming from this mood board.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. That's how it was before.
How do you choose those images for the mood board?
These images. Well, that's pretty simple. That's pretty straightforward. I just go to Google and or Pinterest, and I start typing keywords. For example, this one I found in design, iconic Italian product design from the 60s. For, let's say, this one, Jimi Hendrix, is obviously from the 60s. And this kind of color palette was also at one of the posters from the 60s. I just stretched it a little bit on the side to emphasize the colors. And also there was a top list of some product designs from Italy during the 60s, such as these objects here, but all of them are monochromatic, so it's a kind of double mood board. Well, that's how I basically was looking for the mood board. I just think a little bit through the keywords in my head, and then after I search them. I don't know if I answered your question, or did you mean anything else?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Of course, it's up to interpretation of what does 60 represent to each person. But since we are working on Fiat 500, I thought it would be pretty much relevant to stay within the context and search objects that are related to Italy somehow. I was thinking maybe we could apply some orange as well. Within these inserts here. So the first layer will be fine. And then the next layer will be overlay. And we will be able to render the shape a bit more true-like. Okay, we gotta decolorize the floor. I think the floor is getting a little bit out of control now. Let's select everything and just start selecting the big parts. Subtract. Subtract as well. Subtract 2. And this one as well. Subtract. Okay. Now let's just make it all black and white. Grayscale. All right, it is grayscale. Okay, it's grayscale for now. So what are we gonna do next? Let's make it slightly more grayish. And well, normally within serial production cars, mostly interiors are totally gray. But since we're not doing a production car, let's try something different. How about following this palette and creating dark blue?
No, we're doing good.
Yeah, but so far it looks good. Yeah, continue.
Okay. Okay, let's save it just in case. Aha. Okay, it seems like my computer doesn't want to rotate the screen anymore. That's okay. Okay, let's just mark the seats slightly lighter. That's something strange here. All right. Right now, we're going to work on the finishing parts. Behind finishing parts, I mean, let's say the parts like such as parts at the floor. So, yeah, let's go to the floor. Normally, the floor area has some sort of carpet. So we could think about what kind of color would it be. For that, we're going to choose this area. Then deselect the seats. Subtract. And as well as this part, subtract too. All right, let's do something. Let's make something fun. Let's try to make it. Let's try to give it some color. Let's colorize it a bit. How about red, for example? It could be slightly darker, but more saturated. That would be pretty much 60s. Carpet does not have to end up just at the level of the floor. It can also continue up to the level of the door panel as well. Up to the level of the pocket of the door panel. And here the seat will select, subtract. And here as well, select, subtract. And here too. So we can just erase a bit. And let's start working a little bit more on shadows and lights and highlights. Right now, we're going to start finalizing our picture because now it looks like a sketch, but it's not really photorealistic as the rendering should be. So let's keep continuing. What do we have to do first of all is emphasize the contrast between the light and the dark areas. So what we can do is this. Pick up the airbrush, pick color, and start highlighting the areas that catch the light the most, and darken the areas which are supposed to be darker, in order to achieve such a strong, solid contrast. You might also consider adding a bit of texture to it, up to the taste. Let's make it bigger. And here as well, lower the scale a little bit because it's a far away area. Let's apply that here too. And here we just erase it. And here too. Okay. Okay, let's mirror the image. Okay, now we did this duplication of the layer. I'll explain why. Because we're gonna have to apply some filter here in order to imitate the carpet. I suggest using the noise. We can add some noise here. At really small amount, perhaps 7%. Yeah, 7% is all right. Then you maintain the selection, keep the selection on, and after that, apply some Gaussian blur. Now the radius is 2 pixels. You need to see which one works better for you. Then again, let's apply some noise. Again. And then let's apply again the blur, Gaussian blur. But a little bit smaller percent this time. So you can see what we have here now. It's almost like imitation of noise is really a universal tool. It could imitate anything. It could imitate plastic, but at the same time, in such cases, it could imitate also the soft, short hair carpets. If you want to emphasize the softness of this material, I strongly encourage you to use to pass again airbrush closer to the edge of this carpet. This will give the sensation of softness. In this case, right now, we don't have to use this hue and saturation layer anymore. So we can switch it off or just delete. And we could keep using our layer from now onwards. All right, I would say our upper part of IP is done when it comes to lights and shadows. So for now, let's focus on other parts of the interior. Let's apply some noise to this brush. Now we just duplicate this shape of the perimeter of this armrest / cushion. Let's start applying some soft airbrush. Let's reduce the flow and see what's coming up. Okay. Lower it slightly. And we got to lower it a little bit. In here. And in here. All right, now let's select everything. Just select all the objects around. And let's start applying a bit of more contrast to the red color. I'm using the green color intentionally because we're applying it to the red color. We could also switch it to a bit more bluish one. Let's see how it works. Blue one works better. Let's keep blue. All right, let's save it as JPEG for now. And let's keep it high. Okay, here it is. Here we have our JPEG. Okay, with JPEG it's going to be easier because no layers anymore, so it doesn't need so much memory as before. Let's just keep applying our contrast here. Okay, this one goes for the whole period. Somewhat a little bit too reddish. Let's reduce saturation. let's go to the other part here. You guys see the difference? This was before, where all the tones were more or less same one to another. What is here is same as here. And after applying overlay tool, overlay layer, little bit darker, little bit lighter, and you feel the contrast even more. So that's the goal for this phase right now. It's a kind of finalizing stage. Need to achieve more contrast. Now let's construct this element here. Now let's just apply white color on the top, which catches more light. And let's apply some cool color underneath. I would go for something like dark cool gray for the lower part of the IP. You can also emphasize the shadow by adding one more layer in the mode of multiply. I will provide better contrast for the shadow. Okay, let's apply the shadow here so we add some depth. Let's use the saturation and oops. Can you guys see the difference?
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. All right. And so on and so forth. Basically, it's just a kind of mechanical job where you have to add a bit more shadow, add a bit more light within each and every component here. Okay. And this can also happen along the way. It's not a big deal. Okay, sometimes there's also another way how you could add a bit more contrast than before. What you can do is this. You select the area, you pick up the color. You pick up the color, you start colorizing it. And if you want to make it darker, you don't have to pick up the new color, but you could just go straight to O tool. O usually has either burn tool or dodge tool, depending on your setup. And just by pressing Alt, you can reverse the tool. For example, dodge works together with a burn tool and vice versa. So you have a burn tool. By pressing Alt, you immediately switch to dodge tool.
So when do you use black and white on overlay, and when do you use burn and dodge?
Well, black and white are used just for quick coloring, such as here, for example. Here, I noticed that one of the colors, one of the selections was not perfect. So I just quickly picked up whatever color I could. Let's say here we have these lines, which were never meant to be there. And we just cover it in an absolutely normal mode, right? But now we start to notice that, like this, for example. Let's say right now we notice that it's a bit too homogeneous. Okay, just flat color. In this case, I pick up burn tool and start going through it. You could play a little bit, check which mode works better for you, whether it's highlight or mid-tone or shadow. And sometimes you could also switch to the dodge tool. Dodge tool is really nice for adding highlights. In this case, I would probably go for shadows because it will give maximum neutral color. Yeah. Now you can just pick it up again and keep drawing with the brush. And then you can add a bit of tension on the surface by adding another highlight here. So the surface of this event will become more clear. Let's do the same thing here.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you guys are not falling asleep yet.
No. But it's almost night in Poland. So.
I see. It's mostly night here too.
Yeah.
It's not working. Okay. How it works. Okay, here at the top we could just pick up highlights and add a little bit of shadow, but not too much, in order to maintain this kind of highlight area. Then let's just make some color. Apply some more here. I work simultaneously with brush and with Alt. So pick the color and then stroke. Pick the color and stroke. Sometimes darker, sometimes lighter. And we could add some white color here. And then we could pick up again this color and add a bit more. Maybe even dodge tool. And just click on it. Так. Okay, let's see what we can do here. Yeah, here we could also clearly emphasize with the contrast, as well as other details here too. Overlay. No, overlay. Let's just do normal thing. Normal color. And just pick up the colors from here. Sometimes, if you want, you can just add a couple of strokes here to emphasize the section. Add some kind of offset on the surface. The word big brush, you can pass again to show the depth. And you can pass again with word brush. So it starts getting more volumetric. Here's the cool gray shadow. Let's apply it here. Now let's go here. Let's decide a bit the depth here. Okay, now let's put some lines here. Sorry, just a second. Okay, so I'm back. And now I'm just trying to show that this internal surface also has some tension, and hence applying the contrast accordingly. Here we can just make it merge into black. And here too. Let's just say, just in case. Okay, guys, I think we could stop at this point for now. Do you have any questions?
All clear, I think, for me at least.
Mm-hmm. All right. Just a couple of more things. Is that sometimes you can also continue even on top of overlay mode layers. You can just keep going, trying to emphasize certain things. For example, this shadow here, you could make it even more. In multiply mode. So it's a kind of process which takes considerable amount of time. Just have to tweak a little bit different parameters, such as the tonal ratio between light and the shadow. It should be darker, which area should be lighter, how much lighter, should I make it glossy or should I make it matte, looking like a matte object. So yeah, takes a bit of time. if you want to, let's say, make certain elements really hardcore detailed, you can do it in several steps. First of all, you can pronounce well the cut line. It's going to be like this, pretty graphic. But at the same time, every material has certain thickness, so does the plastic. When it has to merge with another piece, like here, for example, a piece of fabric, the cut line tends to get a bit thicker. So you add a bit more shadow here in this case. First of all, create selection. Then choose the line which is underneath, which is the cut line itself. Reduce flow to 14%, and then use this cut. And then you can use this cut line area, cut line path, in order to create this kind of shadow. Sorry, here. Well, and you get this. This is a typical cut line with the interior. Apply it also here. Okay, now we just apply black line here and reverse selection. Make the brush a bit softer. Do it again a couple of times. And that's what we got. Typical interior shot line. And let's just add a couple of more highlights here. Here, let's put some black. white. There's also another trick how you could emphasize the contrast. Just create new layer, make it black, then set it into color dodge mode, and everything is back again. And then, you pick up the brush, set it to color dodge or screen tool. Yeah, screen. Here, there it goes. If you have, let's say, chromic pieces like this, for example, or if you want just to add some shiny metallic highlight, you could use this feature. You could use this way. Okay, let's check what do we have now. How it was before, what is right now. We could even compare it to the first sketch, the initial sketch that we had before. All right, that's it for now. Do you guys have any questions for now? Sure. Sure. All right. Okay, Eric, I can send to you both of them.
Looks great. The effect is really cool.
Thank you, guys.